Kvod Nasi HaYeshiva, Roshei HaYeshivot, V'Talmidei Yeshiva University, Chag Sameach. Tonight we celebrate 72 years of what Rav Shechter Shlita has described as the creation of a modern Malchut Yisrael. And what the late Rav Shaul Yisraeli Zatzal wrote was the moment when the nations of the world gave us the permission, la'alot b'chomam, to return in force to our homeland. An event of miraculous proportion which enabled the kibbutz galuyot, and which he ruled demanded shevach v'oda'ah la'kadosh baruch hu. And therefore it was 72 years ago that the Jewish future moved eastward. And Jews me'arba kanfot ha'aretz began to return en masse, more than 3.5 million so far, to the land of our ancestors, fulfilling Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy that wherever we might be, misham yikabetzcha Hashem Elokecha, from there God will find us, gather us, redeem us, and bring us back. And so tonight, I want to share with you a story from that night, a story told by the late Ambassador Yehuda Avner Zal, a man who was not only one of the founders of Kibbutz Lavi, but who also worked side by side with many of the great founders of the State of Israel. Avner had made Aliyah from England in 1946, and soon after, as was true of so many young men and women of that time, people who came to Israel following the World War, he joined the Haganah to defend the land. 72 years ago, on May 14th, Hey Iyar, Avner was stationed near what is now Yad Vashem, together with 25 others, armed with pickaxes, shovels, and a dozen or so World War I rifles that none of them really knew how to use. In Avner's words, they were an untrained, inglorious bucket brigade of diggers and hackers, ready to defend Yerushalayim from what they feared would be an invasion of the Jordanian and Iraqi armies. As night fell, rumors also spread that Ben Gurion would not declare independence, and that the British would not leave, that Begin would rebel, and that the Arabs had captured downtown Yerushalayim. With no means of communication, Avner's commander, Elisha Linder, a man destined to become one of the founding fathers of maritime archaeology in Israel, sent one of the men named Leopold Mahler, the grandnephew of the composer Gustav Mahler, to town to find out what was going on. Around midnight, Mahler came back breathless and exhausted. Immediately, Elisha grabbed him and said, "Well, talk. What did you find out?" Mahler said he had heard nothing about Begin, and that not only had the Arabs not taken downtown Yerushalayim, but the Jews were in control of the whole area. And as proof, he opened his coat and displayed a Union Jack tied around his waist. And then he began pulling out of his pockets all sorts of foreign luxuries, Kraft cheese, Mars bars, Cadbury chocolates, and from his knapsack, cans of peaches, jars of Ovaltine, and a bottle of caramel wine. "Where did you get this from?" everyone asked. "From Bevingrad," he said, "from the cordoned off area of Rehov Yafo, near Shlom Tzion HaMalka, where the British had their headquarters." When Mahler got there, he found the British had evacuated. So he went in and found all of this food in the officers' mess. And then Mahler told them the big news, that Begin had declared independence that afternoon, and the British had hauled down the Union Jacks, and that the Jewish state was to come into being at midnight. Hearing this, the men burst into tears of unimaginable joy, slapping each other on the backs in celebration. But then Elisha turned once again to Mahler and said, "Hey, Mahler, ma shem hamdina shelanu? What's the name of our country?" Mahler looked at him blankly and said, "Shachachti lishol. I forgot to ask." So somebody said, "Oh, it will be called Yehuda. David HaMelech's Judea was Yehuda." And another shouted out, "Zion. It's obviously going to be called Zion." And a third one said, "Ma Rabbi Yisrael." So Elisha took the bottle of wine that Mahler had brought and poured it into a mug, and he said, "Let's drink l'chaim to our new state, whatever its name is." Whereupon one of the defenders, who was a chassid from Mea Sharim, a man they used to call Reb Nussen the Chazan, yelled, "Chakeh, it's Shabbos. Let's make Kiddush first." Reb Nussen took the mug and began to sing in a sweet cantorial voice, Yom HaShishi. And when he came to the closing bracha of Mikadesh HaShabbat, he started to shuckle back and forth, and in a trembling, emotion-filled voice, he added the bracha of Shehachianu. Said Avner in an interview many years later, "I'll never forget that Shehachianu. Shehachianu v'kiyemanu v'gianu lazman hazeh." Those were the words that were recited around the world on that day. They were even the front page headline of one of the Aguda newspapers in Israel. Because for 2,000 years, we had waited for that day. 2,000 years we had prayed for that day. And then 72 years ago, just a few years after all had seemed to be lost, God gave us a gift. He brought us together. He brought Jews together from around the world to fulfill the dreams of generations and create a country. Shehachianu, v'kiyemanu, v'gianu lazman hazeh. Which brings me to a Dvar Torah I heard many years ago when I was in college and a chanich in Bnei Akiva. An explanation of the pasuk we all know so well, Shir HaMa'alot B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion, Hayinu Kecholmim, that when God returned the captives of Zion, we were as dreamers. What does the phrase, Hayinu Kecholmim, we were as dreamers, really mean? Maybe the answer is that within the context of these past 72 years, maybe it means not that we were dreamers, but that we were like daydreamers. That we've watched miracle after miracle occur in the state of Israel. We've watched the ingathering of exiles, Jews from Arab lands, Jews from the former Soviet Union, Jews from Ethiopia, Jews from France, Jews from Europe and South America, and of course, Jews from the United States and all of North America. Jews from every corner of the world coming back to Israel, and yet, Hayinu Kecholmim, we've sat on the sidelines, daydreaming, preoccupied with our own lives, unable to fully comprehend the miracle, the wonder, the beauty, and the opportunity that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us through his gift of Medinat Yisrael. Hayinu Kecholmim, we were like daydreamers. And maybe the time has come to stop dreaming and start praising God. Maybe tonight it can all change. Tonight, as we celebrate and we dance, as we daven and we sing, maybe tonight we will remember Reb Nosson the Chazan and his Shechianu. Remember how fortunate we are to live when we do and to celebrate the miracle of Israel, the glory of a nation reborn, a people reunited from four corners of the earth, reunited with our land. Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'gianu lazman hazeh. May we truly appreciate the gift of God, the majesty, and the beauty of the modern state of Israel. May it continue to blossom and grow. Chag Sameach.